This video covers the cell cycle. The cell cycle is the process of cell growth and division. The cell cycle happens in 3 distinct steps, but some of these steps have sub-steps to them. First, we'll go through interphase, which is comprised of G1, S, and G2. During G1, the cell grows and completes its normal cell functions. During S phase, DNA replicates, and finally, during G2, the cell grows again and prepares for division. Next comes mitosis, where the cell divides the nucleus. And it happens in 4 distinct steps: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Finally, we have cytokinesis. You can see the diagram of the cell cycle here. We have growth, replication, growth and preparing for mitosis, dividing the nucleus, and then cytokinesis, where we divide the cytoplasm. Sometimes during the cell cycle, cells can enter a phase called G naught, or G sub 0, where the cell is not actively dividing. Some cells stay in G naught, and some re-enter the cell cycle. Next, we're going to look at the particulars of mitosis. So the first step of mitosis is called prophase, and a lot happens during this time. First, the centrioles divide and move to opposite ends of the cell. Then the centrioles begin to produce spindle fibers. Spindle fibers are a protein that helps move chromosomes around during this process. Then the chromosomes condense, the nucleolus dissolves, the nucleus dissolves, and at this point, the chromosomes have condensed so much that they are visible, like visible under a microscope, visible. And then the spindle fibers attach to the chromosome at the centromere. So let's add a picture here. This spot in the center is called the centromere. And each leg or arm or piece, whatever you want to call it, of this chromosome is called a chromatid. So the whole thing is a chromosome, but then each piece is a chromatid. So let's look at this picture of prophase. This is prophase relatively early on. We have our centrioles over here that are producing spindle fibers. We can see that our nucleus and nucleolus are starting to dissolve, and we have our chromosomes that are starting to become visible. Next comes metaphase. During metaphase, the spindle fibers pull chromosomes so that they are lined up in the middle of the cell, which you can see very clearly here. So humans have 46 chromosomes. Our cells during metaphase have all 46 all in a row right there. Next comes anaphase, where spindle fibers pull chromatids apart. So we can see now in our cell, we've got this very visible gap in the center as those chromatids are being pulled apart. Last comes telophase. During telophase, the nuclear membrane forms around chromosomes. The chromosomes relax, which means they are no longer visible. The nucleole and the nucleolus is going to form. Now that we are done with telophase, let's take a look at some pictures. So we can see we have our genetic material on either side. Spindle fibers are starting to dissolve, and we're having a nuclear membrane being formed. Finally, after all of this, we have the third part, which is cytokinesis. Cytokinesis is the division of the cytoplasm, and it's going to be different in an animal cell versus a plant cell. So we'll look at animal first. With animal cells, the cell sort of pinches and forms this cleavage furrow. Okay, so it's like this big blob, and then it just starts to pinch here and here. And then eventually that will form two new cells there. Plant cells, cytokinesis is a little more complicated because they have an issue of the cell wall. And so what happens is a cell plate gets built in the middle of the cell, which you can see right here, which eventually will form it into two cells. And that is all for the cell cycle.